Good evening and welcome to the allotment journey. The last few days, or 4 days, we've had a ridiculously hot weather in the UK. It's been like 30 odd degrees, which I know for some countries isn't exactly hot, but for us it's crazy hot. And so the allotment's taken a little bit of a beating with the heat. Trying to keep on top of the watering has been hard. I've also been trying to see if the new automatic window opening I put in the small greenhouse was actually working properly, as it hadn't got cold enough to when I've been up here to actually see it closing. So I haven't been able to check to see if it is working, because it's constantly been open, as I will show you just now. Let me just turn you around. As you can see, it's open, and I matched it up with the same way that the ones on the other bigger greenhouse are, and I have clearly made a mistake. As if I'd have read the instructions, which I'll be the first to admit I very rarely do, and I'll be surprised if, again, many people do. But I put it the wrong way around in the bigger greenhouse and had to turn it round. And I thought, oh, I'll copy it across and it'll be fine. But no, I was wrong again. So I need to bring a screwdriver with me next time I come up to switch it around, and then hopefully it will shut. As it's fine at the moment with it being hot, but come the winter, when I want it to keep the seedlings warm that come in here, with the window open all the time, it's just not going to work at all. Everything's going to freeze to death. Do you remember as well, was it last week when I was saying about the giant celeriac that we thought we had? Well, it turns out that there was a bit of a mix-up when all the plug plants, because unfortunately this year, with everything that's been going on, we didn't have a chance to grow our own plants from seedlings, so we had to get plug plants sent in, and we used a company called Rocket Gardens, which I've heard from people that they're meant to be very good. Unfortunately, our experience with them wasn't very good at all. The celeriac that was supposed to come isn't celeriac, and in fact report that the celeriac that was meant to be isn't, and it turns out it is in fact celery. So yeah, not what we were expecting at all. We were patiently waiting for some lovely celeriac to grow, but we've got some celery, which isn't a problem because we like celery. Lovely in soups and lovely in a salad, but just a shame when it wasn't what we were expecting to have. It just goes to show that yes, sometimes ordering plug plants can be a great way to get things in, which is what we thought this year. We were behind. We'll order them, we'll get them in the ground, get something growing, but unfortunately for us this year it just did not work. So of course next year, now that the greenhouse has got all the staging back in it properly, all next year we will get all of the bits planted in and grown from seed. I've planted a load of cabbages that were from seed, which have grown really well, and I'll take you over and show you the cabbages I planted in the last little video I did, which is about the cabbage planting. So I'll show you those, because I thought with the way that the hot weather had been that they were going to struggle, but thankfully they haven't. They are doing really well, they're thriving, and because I put the slug gone wall pellets down around the base of them, as well as the cabbage collar, they have not been eaten at all by the snails or the slugs, which just goes to show that that stuff really does work. And there is the cabbages that were planted in from the last video. All planted in really well, and seem to, look, they have not been eaten at all. Not a single slug mark or snail bite or slug bite on them at all. They're all literally just really thriving. I need to put some weed out around the base of those ones, which were put in a little while ago. Get weeded out around those, and I'm going to put some more of this wall pellet around the bottom to protect them from getting the slugs on them again. But yeah, no, it's the way to go. They don't get eaten, and it's helping with the retaining the moisture around the base of them as well, which is all good. And as I was saying, with all this really hot weather we've had in the UK over the last 4 or 5 days, the squash arch outside really struggled in that heat. As I say, it got to 30, 32, and it really struggled. It's planted in the raised beds, which are filled with topsoil. Nothing else in there, just the topsoil in these. And a lot of the smaller ones really wilted down and died off. The leaves were literally wilted and crinkling up, but luckily gave them a good drink, which has managed to bring them back to life again. And some of them, as you can see, are actually getting to quite good sizes out here. But the ironic part of it was that these struggled out here, yet inside the polytunnel during that hot weather it hit 52 inside there, and not a single one of the plants in there wilted. The leaves were fine, they were all really nice and dark and green, not struggling at all. Yes, a couple of the very small early forming squashes, they started to die off, but the actual plants were fine, and the bigger ones that were on it stayed really well. The only thing I can put that down to, although it's 20 degrees hotter in there, all I can think of is that all the raised beds in there are filled with the Dalefoot vegetable wall compost, which does retain moisture incredibly well, and that was the proof that I needed to tell me that I knew it was good stuff, but now that I know it's actually very good stuff, because as I say, that was 20 degrees hotter in there and everything survived, didn't struggle at all. And it has to be down to the fact that the ground, the compost that they were in, had the extra wool inside it, which retains the moisture better, which stopped everything from dying and struggling. So all I can say is, if you want some good compost, Dalefoot compost is the way to go forward, because as I say, in the heat everything survived perfectly. I'll run you in there and show you, because I've tidied up a little bit and removed some bits, and I'll just show you in there. So let me just show you inside the polytunnel now. It's got a bit clearer than it was before, as I've taken some bits and pieces out, but let me just swing you around and show you. Excuse that weed that's growing in the corner there, but yeah, these are the second lot of carrots I've put in. Some of the rows, some of the seeds completely failed, so I've planted in some more seeds in here, because this whole row and these intermittently in this row and this row here failed. So I've planted some more seeds in, and they're starting to come up now. So I don't know what was the matter with those. It just must have been a dodgy batch of seeds. Here's the cabbages, the cauliflower, kale, some strawberry runners. There's some more spring onions down there, and there's some early peas that are planted in there, which haven't shown their faces yet, although actually, tell a lie, there's one there which has started to show itself, which is always good to see. It's the end of the salad bed, which will be cleared out to make way for something else. because it's all started to bolt and go a bit all over the place. The last of the beetroot in this bed, because this bed was full of beetroot, but it's the last little bit left now. There was, if anyone remembers, a cucumber here which had to go because it was going crazy, interfering with the squash that's growing up the back. But we kept the other cucumber this side, and we're now starting to get some funny cucumbers coming. It's supposed to be a crystal lemon, but they're not really changing colour, so I'm not sure again if there was a bit of a mix up with the plug plants that we were sent. There's a lettuce that has to come out because it's bolted, and these little lettuces here that were planted about a week or so ago, we planted them up and we then transplanted them into a bigger pot until this bed was cleared out, and then we've plotted them in, and they're coming along now. And there's some radishes coming up in the back there. And then this was another little squash plant which was meant to be a kukikuri. There's 3 of them in here, but I don't know if it is, because the actual squash that has started to grow, it doesn't look to me so much like a kukikuri. So I'm not too sure. It's probably going to be something completely different. This is the bed where I planted some turnips in here, and I planted these a few weeks ago on the video that we did together, and you can just see how quickly they start to come on with the water in and with the heat. And again, these have been in here 52-degree heat during our UK heat wave, and all that's happened to them is that the odd leaf has got a little bit of scorching, and there's literally just 2 leaves. That is all that has been scorched on there. There is some strawberries with some runners planted in. They're doing really well. Another whole bed of carrots, which again are doing really well. And here is the other massive squash plant that was at the back, and I don't think it is a squash. It's supposed to be, again, these were supposed to be kukikuris is what we were sent, but I will show you how big it is growing. Look at that, absolutely massive. Now, I've never grown a kukikuri before, but when I've seen what people have been growing, that looks so much bigger than a kukikuri. So that's the polytunnel. It's done really well considering we've had all that crazy heat. So it just goes to show that by planting in the right soil or compost, you can solve quite a few little problems with watering, which is always a handy thing to know. And yeah, as I say, with the compost, you should, if you need some compost, you should check it out. It's a very, very good brand. Popped into the fruit cage now, so I'll just show you around the fruit cage. Not too much is happening in here at the moment. Tomatoes, which were an absolute disaster. They self-seeded themselves from some tomatoes that were in last year, and we picked them and was going to use them, but they were just not right at all. They had some terrible flavour and issues with their actual texture and everything. It's just not good. Strawberries, which have all but finished now, just the runners to come off that don't need to be potted on. And there's that sorry state of a red currant. This one started to put some leaves back on, but they were just devastated by the caterpillars. Couple of courgettes here, and there's those raspberries, which I still need to get around to putting the wires up for, which is my bad. I should have done that by now. the black currants with the new growth here, which I need to cut the old growth out and re-tie in the new growth. There's the gooseberries, which I'm hoping will come back next year after they were again devastated by caterpillars. And the raspberries, which just keep on producing more and more raspberries. And then we've got these are the summer ones, which are still producing, and we've got the autumn ones, which are now starting to put on their early berries for the next coming month or so. This is one of the Christmas potatoes, the Maris pears we got put in. We've got 6 of those grown in pots, so that when they need to be harvested, we can try out the old potato sieve that was knocked together the other week to see if it actually works. I've got a feeling it will be perfectly fine and do a good job. There's the autumn raspberries. Look, they're just starting to come out, which is always nice to see, and another new little raspberry cane starting to grow down the bottom there. And there's the rhubarb that was put in back in January, which has not done a lot this year, but we shall hopefully see what it does next year. And there's some more potatoes, and there are the blueberries. So yeah, that was just a little tour around of the allotment. It's surprising how well it's done with all that heat. Got a few little things I want to do. Hopefully this week, now the weather's going to be cooler, I'm hoping to use one of the old veg trugs that we've got that's no longer any use for actually planting in, because it needs some work doing to it, which is this one here, this blue one here, which is the original one we had. So the plan is I want to move it and put it next to where the potato sieve is, and I want to make a top for it which I can lift up, and I can use it as a potting bench for outside and for sorting out the bits and pieces that I need to sort out for cleaning them up, ready for taking them home. Yeah, that's just a little tour around the plot, and just trying to enjoy this nice cooler evening, which after this heat will be an absolute joy to be able to sleep at night. So if you've enjoyed this little video, then please like and subscribe, and I shall see you later on in the week with another video. Take care and goodbye.